quorum recess and resume public health and safety. Our discussion tonight is, we're still on item number 2 of our agenda, which is discussion and possible action on a resolution to support environmental justice as considered and recommended by the Liberation and Freedom Committee. We've just completed extensive discussion, both with department staff, the public, and amongst council members. Any additional council members have questions or comments on this particular item? Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, in our packet, it seemed like there are several renditions of this resolution, and for purposes of tonight's deliberation, what one are we looking at? They kind of piled one on the other.
If I might, the one clean copy is the same as the other one. It's just the other one has a couple comments that I had sent to.
So what page in the packet should I be looking at to know what
I
we're
don't
talking
have
about?
things like you do. I don't have an iPad thing.
If I can find it.
It's pretty bad when you ask what the heck is going on.
The committee packet, the item
I've got one that starts on page 5.
5. So 5, 6, and 7 is
That's
the
it.
clean copy?
Okay.
Correct. That's the one that I have, and that's the one I'd highlighted my questions on, so.
Okay. The other ones are history and
They are in
here's what
that.
we talked about earlier.
Yep, and then you have the dialogue, the markups that Tara had done when she was working with Tom on the ordinance to get it to where it needed to be for consideration. So she had a number of questions, and he addressed her questions back and forth, so
Okay, can I make a couple of remarks?
absolutely.
Seemed to me like when this thing was wheeled out, the language was different, and it was, could be seen as somewhat accusatory, which caused people to dig in their heels, I think, and say, no, we didn't do that to those nice people. But I think that is out of there. I think what we have is the essence of something workable. And I think that Director Lindman has brought us a really good idea in terms of possibly including, if we consider this, including a directive, a request to have staff develop some kind of a game plan and orient us as to what the procedures are now when something like this comes up. How are they handled? How would you like them handled differently? And so maybe rather than resolve this and tie a bow on it tonight, we could, have a continuing work on it. And Alder Killian can certainly slap me / correct me, but I don't see anything in here saying, this is the first thing that we're going to hit you with, and then we're going to clobber you with a bunch of other stuff. So with that, for purposes of discussion, I would move that we pass the environmental justice resolution with the intention of working with staff to develop equitable and wise procedures to handle these matters in the future.
We have a motion by Peckham to approve the item. Is there a second to Pat's motion? Second by Wadinsky. Additional comment? I guess the only comment I would offer is that right in section 2, it says this item serves as a foundation for the future development of additional ordinances. And that for me means that this is a gateway to a whole bunch of things that we don't yet know the ramifications of. And so that really concerns me. I also think that, as we indicated in our discussion with Director Lindman, we can make any of these changes for communications, and we can direct policy, employee staff policy, without a vote like this and without an item like this. Really, I think in terms of a number of its whereas clauses, really makes a lot of broad interpretations of some very large documents that, the majority of us have not had the opportunity to review. I mean, I've reviewed a lot of them, Tara's reviewed a lot of them, but, I guess I just have some concerns of, what this actually means and what it means for taxpayers. And I think that this really does paint with a broad brush, so
Okay, just bounce back on that.
certainly.
Section 2, for everybody in the room, it says this resolution establishes the City of Wausau's definition for environmental justice and also serves as a foundation for the future development of ordinances to ensure active consideration of environmental justice and meaningful public participation in city policies, practice, procedures, and other decision-making. I don't see any timeline on there. I don't see that as being threatening. Any further action is a separate vote, separate matter, separate consideration, so.
But ordinances have penalties, and isn't the consequence for violation of an ordinance, Assistant City Attorney, a money fine?
Yes.
There you go.
Somebody would like to amend the motion to delete section 2 and move the numbers up, I got no problem. Or we could amend it to just say it serves as the foundation for the future development of practices that ensure active consideration and get the ordinance part out of there.
Okay.
I don't think we should let that, that part hang us up.
Are you offering an amendment?
I would offer the amendment to change that wording so that it would say, also serves as a foundation for the future development of practices that ensure active consideration of environmental justice and meaningful public participation in city policies, practices, procedures, and other decision-making.
Okay. And do you then also wish to address section 4 that says we will incorporate these principles into ordinances and codes? Because
Want to
ordinances.
do one at a time, or you want to come
Okay.
back?
I guess if you want to pass an amendment, you could do a multiple amendments or make all the amendments at once. So that's also concerning because we reference ordinances and building codes also and property codes also in section 4. It also
I
calls
guess
for a
I'm
review
not-
of existing codes.
I am not motivated to amend section 4, just says will incorporate environmental justice into city ordinances.
Okay, so you're
If somebody
seeking,
else wants to amend
you're
that,
seeking to only amend option 2?
at this point, yes.
Okay, all right, and there was a second from Wadinsky to the amendment? Or no?
There was, and he agrees to as amended, but the committee should know that my vote at council may be different if I hear from more of my constituents, because right now my constituents, the few that have contacted me, are not too pleased with some portions of this.
Mine as
But
well. I have
but
one
think
that's
it should
supportive.
go- Excuse me, but I think it should go forward for more discussion to council eventually.
Okay, whether an item passes or
So I'll
fails in
second.
this, thank you for the second. Whether or not any item passes or fails in this committee, they all go forward to council, they don't die here. So that's the case, we send our failed items even if they're on a negative recommendation. So that gives the council a fair shake at this as well. Mayor?
I just want to clarify, with the request for updated working with staff, are we under the assumption that we would move this forward to the July meeting? Or would it be okay if we talked about it a little more and had it at the August meeting?
Parks is talking about it on July 12th, and so there really isn't time.
Okay, so August, I just want to level set so that people know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think August is more fair because you're going to want to transcribe the minutes from both of these meetings, and these minutes are going to be real long, so.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so with that, we'll vote on the amendment first. Members in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pat's an aye. Dawn? Nay. Okay, so record the amendment passes 3-1. Now we'll vote on the entire resolution as amended on the committee floor. We had a motion and a second for that. Members in favor of approving the environmental justice resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. So we'll record that vote as 2-2 with one member absent. And then this item will go to the Common Council in August on a mixed recommendation from this committee. With that, that concludes our discussion of item number 2. That moves us to item number 3, which is consider approval or denial of various license applications. We have one recommended for denial this evening. Let me switch to my meeting packet quickly here for that. For that, we have one recommended for denial, Jessica Taylor. Our ordinance allows for denied applicants to address the committee. Is Jessica Taylor in the audience tonight? Jessica Taylor? Let the record show that she has not attended to address the committee. Also in this packet, you have an application for a Class A beer license from Fleet Farm on Badger Avenue. You have temporary Class B for the Monk Gardens for their luminary walks. You've got a Class 2 special event for the Wausau East Homecoming Parade, and a number of other license renewals as we have every month. With that, I would accept a motion to accept or deny licenses as recommended by staff. Motion by Wadinsky, second by Peckham. Further discussion? Members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That item carries. Item number 4 is to consider a request for a premise amendment to add an outdoor beer garden at the 101 Pub at 101 North 3rd Avenue from Brewer Entertainment LLC, and the requester is its new owner, Matt Brewer. So welcome. Matt, thank you for hanging in there with us for a really long meeting.
No, it's actually fun to be a part of this.
Thank you for submitting your materials. As you can see, Matt submitted a site plan for where he would like to have this, this beer garden. If you'd like to talk to us a little bit about that.
Is that available to be viewed, or do we have the ability to view that?
His slides?
I can do it by my phone if need be, if you all have a copy of it.
We do. We have it all on our iPads.
Okay, great. Give me just a moment. All right. Again, thank you for having me here today, Matt Brewer. I live at 226020 Deertail Lane in Wausau, Wisconsin. Talking about the 101 North 3rd Avenue property that I own, called the Matt's 101 Pub. Our request is to create a beer garden event space. In review of our situation, you know, we've had this pub now for approximately almost going on 8 weeks now, and our crowd has really grown, and it's been exciting to really be a part of that. So that being said, our priority now is space, in that a number of events that we've had prove that we really don't have as much space as we might need, and we're also having requests from the community to have an outdoor event area similar to a competitor next door, Chatterbox. That being said, in that space, we would be seeking to have new activities of bags, music events, and additional outdoor seating, and then private events. If you look at the page of assessment, approximately 25 by 50 square foot area will be fenced in. A new one-way driving pattern would need to be instituted, and when I say that, it'd need to be instituted in my parking lot, not by any of the other city roads. They would all stay in the same direction. We would not seek to change any of the city, even the alley. It would be still a two-way, but my parking lot would need to go east to west to accommodate the new striping that REI had done for me to maintain my parking numbers. We'd also be able to create a new handicap entrance, and that we don't have a handicapped entrance to our facility to date, and we do have a number of handicap patrons that do frequent our business, and they would be able to have a better parking space and be able to enter the building through another door. We'd also seek to increase our staffing, or we need to increase our staffing by approximately 2 FTE as we have that open event space. We're going to need more staff to be able to run that, clean that, and maintain it for us. Timeline for construction would depend on supply chain, but being most likely the middle of July, estimated 5-day construction with striping, depending on obviously scheduling and other things, but use of local businesses to perform the components of the modification, minimal delay or impact to the alley utilization, and we're estimating it to be about $3,500 to $7,500 depending on equipment, supplies, and timing. So our request is to allow us to build this event space, essentially being a fence that we put up to be able to serve beer and alcohol in that area. We'd follow all appropriate zoning and codes and things to ensure that we're legal, as we're in that space.
Yep, and one question, I guess, with regard, are you planning to have outdoor entertainment in that area?
Yes,
Like
ma'am.
bands and things?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so I would say that, I guess one thing we need to look at is if you don't have one already, you'll need a tavern entertainment license?
I do.
You do have it?
I do.
Okay, all right. So then, what are you looking at for the hours of operation for that outdoor music and things? I mean, I know you have residential neighbors, including right above you.
Correct.
So,
I own the 6 rentals that are there as well.
Right.
That's a great question. I didn't put that in there because I wasn't aware if there was a city ordinance or a requirement for noise. So I would follow all city ordinance and requirements. So I would seek to go up to what's required by the city. So if that's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, I'd be seeking to follow your guidance. Otherwise, I'd seek hours of operation, but the likelihood that we'd ever go past 11 PM with any sort of live music would be 0.
that's, even with events and a number of things that we've looked at for when the start and stop times are, is we have often asked for that outdoor music activity to cease by 10 PM. We've even done that with a number of church festivals and things, just to make sure that the neighbors that aren't a part of it or aren't interested in being part of it also can enjoy their property appropriately. There's not a decibel level noise ordinance in the city of Wausau, but we use a reasonably, reasonable standard, so that if there's a complaint that the music is too loud, obviously an officer from the PD will pull up and park down the street and start walking toward the establishment, and at what point he can hear it. If it's too far from you and he can still hear it, they'll come and ask that it be turned down, so.
Works for me.
Yeah, so with that, we do have Captain Todd Baton with us. Todd, do you have any comments to offer about outdoor entertainment at 101, or have you talked with anybody at the department? You can have my seat up here. Oh, the mayor's not in my seat, but you can have,
I'll be brief.
okay,
So while I did not have occasion to speak specifically about this with Chief Bliven, I will just make a observation consistent with what you had already stated regarding outdoor entertainment and the noise. I can say that even at areas that are specifically designed for outdoor entertainment, say the 400 block, our officers will respond to noise complaints in and around that area from neighbors that live in that area. Occasionally, we'll respond to other taverns that do not have an outdoor venue, but they have a band playing inside. People will complain about that noise. So maybe just something to be cognizant of. But you're absolutely right. Our officers will respond. We will want to assess that. And I would just say, not having that experience as a business owner or, hiring entertainment for that matter, I think it might be a little bit difficult and would just be a little tricky at first to get the lay of the land with how to keep that noise contained in an area that is actually outside. So, but I think, I don't have any indication that there, historically that we've had any problems. By historically, I mean like in recent years or weeks or anything like that. So I would just offer that observation.
okay. Well, and that's something too that we could monitor. I mean, and you can work with the police with a dialogue and with your neighbors as well. I think a number of your neighbors or adjacent neighbors are also commercial buildings.
Yes.
But obviously there's some homes there too we want to be sensitive to. Dawn?
Have you just purchased this bar recently?
Yes, ma'am, about
Okay.
8 weeks ago.
So hopefully then the clientele has changed a little bit compared to what it was before?
It has dramatically, actually.
Okay, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That's good. And I think the neighborhood will as well. I think that that's a positive, and it seems that your goal with your initial plan was to bring a positive vibe there. So any other questions from the committee? If not, is there a motion to approve the outdoor area at 101? Motion by Wadinsky, second by Peckham. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That item carries. So thank you for coming in and hanging
Thank
with
you.
us.
I appreciate it all.
Thank you. Item number 5 is to consider a request by Wausau Events to amend their Concert on the Square event schedule to add an additional concert on July 4th of 2021. Since the Wausau 4th of July celebration has been canceled based on lack of time to prepare and some COVID restrictions, they are not having their event, and so that leaves a limited number of things for people in Wausau to do. And so Wausau Events has stepped up and offered to add an extra concert to their series. And I don't know, we were going to have Wausau Events on WebEx. I don't see that they're dialed in, though. But this would be the same as the activity that they bring to us for Wednesday nights. It would just happen on Sunday. Any questions about that event?
Evening, afternoon?
It'd be evening, look, I believe it's 6 o'clock like all the other concerts. Is that what their application indicated? So a typical concert on the square, so 6 to 8-ish. So we have a motion to approve that item? Motion from Herbst, is there a second? Second by Peckham, I have to look to see you over there. Members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries. Item number 6 is the operational report from the fire department for May of 2021. And we'll bring up our new police chief, Bob Bartek, who's a familiar face. Or police, I'm sorry, fire chief.
Ben's not here.
Oh, there, Todd says he'll take him, so.
Ben's
fire
not
chief.
here.
I look right at him and I'm looking at his fire logo and I say police, because I have police on the brain. I was just thinking about this
That's all
fire
right.
stuff.
It's your
so.
building. There's
So-
far worse people like
That's right, so.
Long meeting.
Long meeting, so congratulations on your appointment. This committee hasn't met since that happened, so.
Thank you. So we've got our, I'll be brief, our May report. The biggest thing to stand out in that report is our Packer Drive MABUS assistance that we rendered to the, to Safer and the town of Marathon. That fire was not in Stettin. We had originally, there was discussion it was in Stettin. It was actually a town of Marathon fire. Our MABUS group, if you're not familiar with that terminology, that's the mutual aid box alarm system that we use to work with our neighboring departments within the county. We're in MABUS 130 group. We're very active in that group. And that stands to date the largest use of MABUS resources within our MABUS group. So that went all the way to a 5th alarm fire. We had a number of assets out there, including our on-duty battalion chief, Mike Becker. All parties did a great job on that. Wind-driven fire in a rural area. They actually used a city hydrant and were shuttling water from the city hydrant to the fire. But, you know, anytime you're outside of a hydrant district and you're moving water via shuttle, it's difficult, and that fire posed a lot of problems. I think it was a great example of how we do work with our mutual aid partners in the community, in the greater Wausau region and county, actually. And I always highlight, on this occasion, we were out, but it's not that far ago. You look at an industrial complex fire we had, and we had, you know, our MABUS partners in the city to assist us, so those work really well. Other than that, kind of a normal month for us. We're still kind of working on tweaking our monthly report. Of course, I'm just a few weeks into to my new position in the department, so it'll take a little time to get that where I see it as. I'll ask the committee again if there's anything specific that you want to see in these monthly reports. Just shoot me a note and I'll make sure that it's in on there. Otherwise, I'm looking to add a bit of a narrative on there so you understand maybe some of the other idiosyncrasies that are working in the department at the time.
Sure.
Any questions for me?
I have none. Committee members, any questions for Fire Chief Bob Bartek?
Thank you.
Thank you. That's right, apparently. At one point, we did have a police chief that had to serve both roles for a short time, so. Okay, so that brings us to item 7, which is tavern activities, compliance checks, and law enforcement activities. And you see we've got both reports in the packet. We've got the tavern report that we're all used to, and then we also have our newly minted, as of a month or so ago, police activity report, which gives us a bunch of current statistics about what the department is working on. Any questions about either of those reports that you'd like to present to Captain Payton? Anything notable on the report that you'd like to talk about? I hate to leave you out. You've been here for so long.
No, that's okay. No, I would say Chief Bliven did a great job of highlighting some successes and some notable things on that first page there of that report under the chief's message. I would just point out the bottom paragraph of that, the hiring and swearing in of 3 new police officers. That is sort of a landmark event for us in that it's the first time within some recent years that we've been at our full staff. And that's very heartening for us here in the city. We appreciate the efforts that the council has made to make that possible for us, and we're appreciative. And I guess I would make this observation that despite really a national decline in applications for law enforcement candidates, so really a dearth of applicants, we have had much success here in the Wausau community in identifying and recruiting really quality people that want to come and work and live and serve here in the Wausau area. And I do think that that's a testament to our community in many ways. So I just wanted to point out that thing there.
Thank you. Any questions on the report? Pat, go ahead.
Completely tedious little question on the bottom of page 6. There's a blue column with total arrest, probation holds, arrest warrants, et cetera, et cetera. And the last item in the column is garbage picks. What is that?
Yeah, so, okay, excuse me, and this is under the activities of the Community Resource Unit, which is primarily drug investigation driven in their unit. So frequently, as a component of some drug investigations, it becomes advantageous to conduct some garbage picks at a suspected drug location, a residence, to go out and retrieve garbage that had been placed out on the curb, to look for items that would be consistent with drug manufacture, distribution, things of that nature.
Thank you.
Okay. Probably not a fun job, but a necessary one. So with that, if there's no other comments or questions, we'll place both of the police department reports on file. Item number 8 is communications. I have none. Does anyone have any communications? Okay, and absent that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn because we have reached the end of the agenda. Jim's hand flies up, so motion by Wadinsky. Is there a second? Second by Herbst. Members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. No one ever says no. We'll stand adjourned, and thank you, everyone, for hanging in there for a long meeting.